Hi there, and welcome to the information or the tips for parents. This is the second of this kind of presentation that we've done so far this school year. The first one being on open house, and so my hope is that I can impart some tips or processes or whatever it might be that can help assist parents with monitoring their students successfully. And so that's what this is all about. Anyone who watches this and has any kinds of questions or anything about or any kind of follow-up question or questions that maybe I don't go over or need clarification, you can definitely feel free to reach out to us at ai@acpsd.net with those questions, and we will respond as best we can. So this is all about trying to help parents navigate online learning with their kids. So the first thing that I want to do, and this right here is something that we cover in orientation. In fact, this snip came from the orientation course that students are required to go through in Schoology. You guys have the ability to go in there and see this at any time. Have your student pull up the course, but it also is something that we're covering in learning coach training. This is kind of a of an expectation for parents that partner with us. You've heard me say it a million times that Aiken Innovate is way more of a 50-50 partnership between school officials and parents in the teaching of students, because we don't actually see students in person. I can't go and catch Johnny from another class and say, hey, look, man, come over during your lunch or playing period so we can get this work knocked out, and sit side by side with them and address issues they may be having. If the communication is not received virtually here in Aiken Innovate, that communication just falls on deaf ears and failed attempts. And so we really definitely need every parent to have the ACPSD app as well as the PowerSchool Portal app on their phones to be able to get these communications and have these two-way communications or text messages or whatnot with teachers. So the ACPSD app is that two-way information. This is also the way that when I send program updates or like the newsletter and stuff like that we send goes through the app. If you don't have that, you may not be receiving those notifications about things that are coming up. Students can also download this, by the way, and sign in and have it on their phones if they have a phone as well. And there is also web access to this as well, but I think most people prefer to use it on their phone. For the PowerSchool Portal app, this one is equally important because we don't like surprises with grades. And so one thing that I've tried to do is make my program surprise proof. And we want parents and students to be extremely well versed throughout the quarter about how students are doing. So I'm asking my teachers to update grades on a weekly basis. And when they do that and they sync those assignments in with the PowerSchool portal, it will give you a notification on the app to let you know that the grades have been updated, which then can let you, as a parent, as a learning coach, have those conversations with your student. If the grade just dropped to a 70 and it was an 86 before, then now you're able to look in right there and find out what happened and address that issue. Likewise, if the student's grade has improved, that student deserves to hear congratulations from you. Um, as a parent in the program, this is one thing that I do on a regular basis with my own student. And keep in mind too that when you go to download the PowerSchool Portal app, the school code it's going to ask you for is GSNM, all capital letters, GSNM. So you will need that in order to access information on the PowerSchool app. The next thing that I want to do as a general tip is just make sure that everyone is on board with understanding the way that the course is structured in Schoology. So one thing that is really, really important in a virtual program is that there is a level of consistency in the way that courses are built. And we've worked really, really hard to try and figure out the best way to do that. And so what I want to do is I want to show you a general example of a course in Schoology and a little bit on how to navigate that. But we're going to look at the overview and information folder, the unit structure, the way it's laid out, upcoming and overdue assignments, and the grades tab, because as a parent, these are the things that I think are most important for me in monitoring my student. So I've opened up Schoology, and this right here is just a very generic template of a course. All I did was take basically the psychology class from the spring and put everything there in Schoology in the way you're seeing it. But a few things that I want to point out right off the bat is that uniform unit structure. So every course has at the very top the course overview and information folder that has information such as teacher contact, help, discussion, etc. Then they're going to have unit one all the way up to the final unit and then a folder for finals. Now, right now, you probably can't see all this because we wouldn't have all the unit folders open in advance because we don't want students to finish up the whole course, in a day or two. So right now, you would be able to see as far as whichever unit the course is in right now. The final exam folder wouldn't be there until at the end. That's where the students would go in to get their final exam. But in looking at the course overview and information folder, there's information here that students need in order to participate with us. Teacher contact information or information about the teacher is in these is at the top here. Now, teachers, this here is an updated template for this folder. So the version of this folder that's in your students' classes may look a little bit different than what you're seeing here, and that's okay. The information is still the same. There's also the Aiken Innovate Test Scheduler. So when students go to take a test with us, they need to actually choose a date and time to take that test and then show up on the live session at that given time that they select. The way they do that is in the course overview and information folder, which can be found in every course. And then the Aiken Innovate laptop support ticket. If there's an issue that we need our technician to be able to provide some support with, where students go here in the course in order to access and complete the form, which gives our tech person the ability to get back with them or set up a time. So those folders are important. And then other things, live session recordings, you can get to that here or you can get to that from Microsoft, either which way. So we try our best to make it easy for all the information, like general program information and things that students need, are going to be found in that course overview and information folder in Schoology. Now, this course utilizes Virtual SC to provide the curriculum. And so when you come in this course and you look in, let's say, Unit 1, all right, and this right here is just a blank template, but these different assignments correspond to assignments that you can find in the Virtual SC curriculum. So if I click on Unit 1.1, for example, it has information here about logging into Virtual SC that once the student clicks here, it's going to take them to the login screen. And from here, the student would be able to uh, log into the course and then access the corresponding assignment directly in the Virtual SC course. And so once they're logged in, they can access Moodle and get the work done there. When the teacher grades, they will grade in the Virtual SC using the rubric there and then manually override those assignment grades into the Schoology gradebook. We're going to see in a second what that looks like. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the student experience real quick, just because I feel like it's easier to see what the student sees. I can show you some of these things better. So we looked at the course overview and information and the unit structure. The next thing I want to point out to you is over here on the right hand side within a Schoology course, you're going to see a section for upcoming and overdue. So these assignments here are said to be due in January of 2026. So that's a far ways away. It's just a sample. But what we do is we have all assignments pulled up and available with a due date for the next Sunday. Okay, so our due dates are all on Sundays. I know this is Saturday. Again, it's just a template that we threw together when we were preparing for this school year. But on Sundays is when our due dates are. And so you can see that in this case here, this is the 24th, and then you can see the next week would be the 31st. And these are all the assignments that need to get done 1 week at a time. And so if there was something that's overdue, it would actually say overdue, and you would, as a parent, would be able to see the overdue work and have conversations with your student about getting that work done. But what I do recommend whenever I'm doing learning coach training is we have a conversation with the student at the beginning of the week and then also at the end of the week. And at the beginning, we're saying, all right, so we see that you've got several practice assignments that are due, as well as a couple one application and one assessment. And we take a look at these assignments. And as a parent, I'm going to help my student make a plan for what it looks like to get this work done. Now, just because they're all due on Sunday, do not wait until Saturday night to start this because it would be too much for you to get done in that matter of time. And also, the assignments won't have meaning if you do them all in one sitting. Part of this, if you research studying and retention of information, the reason why it's retained is because you do a little bit here and there, and you're able to learn that work, and your brain makes connections with your temporary memory and converts all that over, compartmentalizes it into your long-term memory. And so that's how that works, and that's the reason why we don't want to wait until the last minute to do assignments. But this right here can help us see what's coming up. And then also notice that we have practice, application, and assessment built into the titles of the items within Schoology. So if I come over here and I click on grades, I can actually see every item that's available to the student and the grade the student made, and also the category. So we put the titles, we put the category that the assignment corresponds to directly in the titles within our program. I don't know of many other schools that do that. Right. So the application assignment that you see here is only going to be collectively 40% of the grade. So if there was one assignment here, that would be 40%. If there was 20 assignments here, that would be 40%. So we do use category weights. All right. But these assignments here weigh collectively 40% of the grade. So they're bigger assignments than anything else. The assessments are 50% collectively. So every assessment here would average to be 50% of the overall grade for the student. And so in a second, we're going to watch a short video that goes into more detail on this. And so I'll wait for that. But then the practice, same kind of thing, is 10%. But you can actually see that at the assignment level, which should help with planning when you're having these conversations with your student. So the grades is a really good place to go. Once the teacher grades the assignment, you can actually see their feedback and information like that in Schoology by clicking here. You would be able to see on the right hand side, once the student has submitted, you can see that. In this case, since this is a virtual SC course, you're not going to see a submission here. You'll just see the grade overridden. But if this is an assignment where the teacher was putting the work in Schoology, you could actually see that submission to verify that the assignment was turned in, and you could also see any applicable feedback here as well. So moving away from that, I did want to take a time to show everyone what that looks like, because that's important. Now, how do you access Schoology? As a parent, you can set up a parent account. That can be done by working with your teacher to get access to a parent access code. You may also be able to see that from logging in to the parent portal on the computer. We can help you with that if you need to be able to access Schoology as a parent, or you can just have your student log in or log in as your student and see what I was just now able to show you. So either way is going to work. Going back to the presentation, I already mentioned this, but it's worth saying again. You want to have regular conversations about school. If your student is doing virtual school and they're sitting in the room all day doing work, and you're never having conversations with that student, then you're setting yourself up for surprises, because the average student is going to need at least some degree of support or monitoring in order to make sure they don't get overwhelmed or find themselves at a roadblock. And then if that happens and the student doesn't get help, then we want to be able to address it quickly. So it's part of the responsibility of a learning coach to have these conversations and make sure that students are keeping up with their work, and also to follow the communications that teachers are sending. So they're going to reach out to you, parents, by email or by the Aiken County app. So we definitely want to make sure that we have access to those communications. Um, when it comes to understanding grading, a few things I want to point out is you're only going to see term grades like quarter one, quarter two, semester one, the year grade. You're only going to see those in PowerSchool. We're not showing grade averages in Schoology or Virtual SC but due to the way that grades are calculated in those programs, it doesn't always calculate the categories the exact same as what we intend for them to be. And so what we're trying to prevent is average discrepancies due to the way that grades are calculated. So in fact, the virtual SC work by default doesn't even use our category structure. And so the grades would always be different. So we always have students go to PowerSchool to see term grades. However, we can see individual assignment level grades as well as assignment details like instructions and resources and things like that by looking in Schoology and Moodle. So there is some value in doing that. But if you want to see how your student is doing in quarter two, or if you want to see which quarter one is over with, and you've got your updated grades in the PowerSchool portal, if you want to see that, you got to log into PowerSchool. And then also the grading categories. And so I'm going to take a quick second and show my screen. I hope that it's going to allow you guys to hear this. I'm not certain. It didn't. I don't think it gave me the option here. Let me just as a safety protocol here. I'm going to just redo it. Couldn't share sound. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm not gonna waste my time on this. If it's not gonna let me show the sound, then I'm not gonna do it. And for some reason, there is something that's preventing me from being able to have sound. Okay. So I'm going to move on from this, but this video is on our YouTube account right now. So if you type in you go to YouTube and search understanding academic grade category, you can watch this 4-minute video that goes into pretty good detail about our grading categories. We don't want parents and students being confused about that. We don't like surprises. So it's very important that everyone understand how grades are calculated before the 8th week of the quarter when it's too late to do anything about it. So definitely make sure to look at that, but we have tried to clarify. Your teachers can also explain, and a few weeks ago we sent out a paper that has information about the categories as well that shows examples. So any teacher can provide you with that, or if you email us at ai@acpsd.net, we'll be happy to send that over. The next big tip, and this is a small one, but it's a big one. It's really important that students have some kind of a planner or notebook or something at their workstation that has their passwords and usernames, any kinds of program dates or reminders, anything else that might be program level. There's not going to be a lot of this that they need to have, but we do have issues where if a student comes in and they need support with a device, it's very likely that the tech person is going to swap it out so that the student can get moving quick. And if they do that, you're going to quickly find out that all the information that was saved onto the computer is gone. And so having that email and network password written down is really, really important because that will get students in most of what we use. I think the only thing they can't get into that with their email and their network password is going to be the virtual SC curriculum, which has its own username and password. Again, every student should have that written down. That username is different. The password is whatever you set it to. So if you end up having an issue where you lose access to VSC and you need to reset that password, the way we ask that students do that is do it themselves. If you go to the login screen, you can click here to recover your password, and you put in your school email and ask it to send you a new password. And then when you check that that email, it's going to allow you to set a new password to whatever you want. And then again, you're going to want to write that down. So that's how we ask students take care of that. It's not something that should sideline a student. It's very quick and easy to reset a password, but that's the safest and fastest way for students to do that because it protects their privacy. Now, if you have an issue where you need a new password and username or a new password for the district, that would be an issue where we're going to need to have you complete a work ticket to get that changed. And the only reason you would do that is if your password is compromised. For example, if your student made a bad decision and shared their network login information with another student, that puts them at risk of having their stuff taken or tampered with by another student, and you'd want to get that taken care of by requesting a new password from Microsoft. The next thing that I want to give all parents access to is some basic ideas on how to help students study and take notes for the program. This right here is kind of one that's been weighing on me recently because I've seen a lot of cases where students would like to have an easy way out. They just want to only do what's in the course. They want to read over something real quick and then show up to take a test and do awesome on it. And that's not how it works. So in this example here on the screen, if you've got a professional runner who's preparing for a marathon, that runner is going to run for months leading up to that event. They're going to do different types of training. They're going to eat right. They're going to concentrate on their sleep. What they're not going to do is show up on the day of the test and run. I'm sorry, on the day of the marathon and run for the first time because they won't make it. They'll have injuries and things like that. Test prep in school works the exact same way. If you show up to a test cold and all you ever did was passively watch a live session or a couple of videos or even do the coursework and you didn't study and review, your brain never moved that stuff from working memory into your long-term memory, and you're gonna if you do super awesome on the test, it's because the test is too easy. Well, most of our tests are pre-made or planned out in a way that students aren't going to be able to show up and do awesome on it. So they need to study, and they need a coach. Just like the marathon runner has a coach. When I used to coach cross country, I would make my students run, I'd push them, I'd teach them what they need to do, and then I would help them to get over there and do that. Well, learning coaches, you are the coach, and it's on y'all to help students get those skills since they're not in school to be able to receive them. And so I want to equip you with some really good techniques for helping your student. Number one, teach them to create flashcards, or you can get some AI tool to make flashcards. The important thing here is it's way more effective for students usually to test and ask themselves questions or review vocabulary or whatever it might be using a flashcard approach because it creates a question and answer rather than them just reading over content. They have to know the answer before they can put that flashcard in the I know it pile. Okay, and so that's a really good thing, and it takes a little bit of work and time, but the benefit of that really pays off at the time of the test. The next thing is we really need to normalize note-taking and help students to have some kind of a note-taking mechanism that they can maybe do by hand. Again, I'm a computer guy, but many of the studies show that there are more connections that are made when students are handwriting notes. Even if they don't write down every word the teacher says, having the ability to write ideas or draw things or whatever it might be that they associate with the content they're learning, they're actually able to retain more that way oftentimes than they are if they're typing out every word. The form of note taking that I recommend is Cornell. Or double entry journal is another form of basically Cornell writing. But if you go on YouTube, there's all sorts of Cornell notes tutorials. There's a video on note taking that your student is going to do in the advisory course here in a few weeks that should hopefully help and give them some idea of what this looks like as well. And then with those handwritten notes or with those flashcards or even the material in the course, students can use AI tools like ChatGPT to help them create notes or sample questions that they can get you or a sibling to read to them. You read a question, they answer it, kind of thing. So that's it's never been easier to do these kinds of things than it is today, but it does take some time, and so we want to normalize the idea that students need to put in a little bit of time in order to make the grade. Um, the next thing that I want to show you is when students are learning, there are different types of techniques that they have access to when watching videos and when reading a lot of text that can really help any student, not just those with accommodations, be able to get through it a little bit easier. And I want to show you two of my absolute favorite. And actually, I want to throw in a bonus one too. And that is the screen reader and the ability to speed up videos. And the bonus one that I didn't put here, but I want to show everyone, is captions, which can also help the brain to hear the words auditorily and also see them visually, so that you're reading and seeing at the same time. So the way this works is I'm going to show you guys a quick tutorial here on how to use the Read Aloud feature within the Edge browser. Again, we just put this on our It Can Innovate YouTube page, so you can go check it out anytime. and and I'm remembering that you don't have the ability to hear this, and so um, that said, what I will do is I'm just gonna quickly pull it up. I'm using the browser, and I'm just gonna go into let's say I'll just go into a random course. So I'll choose my human geography course. Actually, it looks like um, I'll just use this here. Okay, so this random English 1 honors course material here. So if I wanted to use I'm in the Edge browser. Okay, the little blue thing here, that's Microsoft Edge. This feature is free within that program. If I just double click a word right here and I right click and I hover over more tools, I can click on the Read Aloud from here option. And you can't hear that, but what it's doing is it's reading to me at the same time as it's highlighting the text on the screen. I can come up here and I can choose voice options. I can slow it down or speed it up. You definitely don't want to make it go too fast, because you won't be able to understand, and it wouldn't be, there's no point to doing it if you can't get something out of it. But I like mine to be a little bit on the faster side, because I can still read and understand pretty quick. You can also change the voice if that's your thing. The other thing I want to show is you have the ability to actually speed up the video in most of the video platforms that we use here in the program. Let me get back to my slide because it booted me out. But if I wanted, for example, if I wanted to show you this one here, and I click down on the gear, I can, under playback speed, click on this and make this 1.5 or 1.75. I personally think 2 is too fast, but as long as you're able to understand, you can do that and use these techniques to get through material a little bit quicker while still retaining understanding. And in addition to that, I can also, so let me just do this, I can also click on the CC, and if the video supports closed captioning, which we try really, really hard to make sure that the stuff we put out does, then you have those closed captions that show up too, that can help the student retain more and get more out of the videos that they're watching. So we definitely don't want to have these awesome tools and capacities available. Sorry if my mic went off. While students don't know that, we want to make sure everyone is aware that these things are built in to our courses. Um, And so that brings us to the questions section. I don't have any questions over here. Um, and so I'm going to go ahead and end this session. I wanted to let everyone know that this session is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can go there and check it out anytime and share it with anyone who may benefit from this. Even someone who is in a brick and mortar school who's not doing It Can Innovate can benefit from knowing some of these things with Schoology and all that. But I will say that our program does try everything we can to have a structured approach to course design so that it's easy to navigate. So anyway, there's our information. If you guys have any questions or need us for anything, feel free to reach out. And you also can find us on social media. We're always putting stuff up, so I highly recommend that you guys get plugged in. So with that said, that's it for the session. Appreciate you guys coming. I'll catch you next time.